Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Crate Expectations. This is my co-host Sarah, and we
Hi.
do like a weekly show. It's pretty good for us. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You nailed it.
Yeah. So there's your intro, and so the other half of the show, of course, will be on Sarah's channel. If you're not used to that, get used to it. Literally been a thing this entire time. And which episode is this? This is 40 something, isn't it?
43, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost been a year since we started doing this, hasn't it? Because we've missed a couple weeks as well.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because we started in, I want to say January.
I almost just asked how many weeks to the year are in Canada. Like somehow it's different.
Yep. It's totally
So
different.
yeah,
27 hours in a day.
you guys are weird, man. But anyways, so we have a lot to talk about. Actually, we have the road ahead stuff, and we can't talk about all of it, but we'll talk about specific things. Um, and what else?
Oh, man. Yeah. Okay. So road ahead because they like to drop news right after we record. Character review that has to do with the road ahead. And you found a great trigger photo that I can't wait to see. And then we've got a couple viewer questions. There's some really good packs in the store that you can go over, and then a roster roast.
Well, we don't have to go over them now because you just said they're good. They're good, guys. Go get them. All right,
Yeah,
we did,
you
we
just don't
did
know
the
which ones.
right, but just go do it anyways.
Right.
Make it work. Work it out.
All right. Shall we talk about the road ahead?
Yeah, sure. So, what do you think first? So we have a few things.
I mean,
We have one thing that we're gonna get angry about each other or at each other for. So let's save that toward the end.
oh, we're getting angry. Okay. Oh boy.
You
Um,
are, you are. I'll be chill, but
oh boy. Okay, so I think the first thing we should just mention before people forget is there are going to be double drops starting on the 24th. So, what day is that? Thursday?
sure.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, on
24th,
Thanksgiving,
24th to 28th. So, 4 days, and it's double drops on all of the energies.
which is a big deal actually. 5 days of
Mhm.
double drops is a lot of days.
Yeah. So, and then also important, if you are not doing the web store, I know most people find it annoying. I would highly recommend trying to at least remember to do it during double drop days because you're going to get 100 free energy, and no matter what drops, you're going to have double the drops from it. So,
Yep, and I think that it's probably not worth it to save up your energy way in advance. But I think as of the time that you're hearing this,
mhm.
don't feel like you need to or whatever. But I think you'll get a little bit of benefit from like finish your energy and then just start hoarding it. Like
Yeah.
do all your refreshes now, and then eventually like you'll be paid off for double drop stuff
Yeah.
in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So, I know some people that are hoarding like crazy for it, but I don't know if it's necessary.
Hoarding like
Hoarding.
crazy. Okay,
Hoarding like crazy. Yeah. So that was the first bit. Um, New
all right.
territory battle, which we knew was coming already, but
We do. Yep.
so that's there.
And we've both got our inquisitors basically ready. Yours are ready.
Yeah. Yeah, mine
Mine
are
mine
ready.
are mine are close.
Yours will be ready. You have one character left.
Right. Are you farming the Mark IV gel for me?
Yeah.
We'll
It,
talk about
it's
it later.
it's not good.
Yeah, I've noticed that there hasn't been an increase of that piece, so
Yeah,
that's
it's
why I'm asking. Okay.
it's not good.
Well, I hope you use this as a reminder if you haven't been.
Oh man.
I can coach you on where to find it. I'm s-
Well, this
uh,
this goes really nicely into the other road ahead bit of gear changes.
yeah. Um So how do you feel about the gear changes? They're increasing the drop rate, or not drop rate, but the total that we get when things drop by double for a lot of pretty key pieces.
Right. Yeah, pretty much almost everything below gear 12. There's a list in the road ahead of the gear that's excluded, but
Right.
a good chunk of it will be basically doubled.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which
I was
is, it's been touted as a, catch up mechanic.
right. I was pleasantly surprised. I don't think anyone really expected another gear update.
I mean, I felt like they needed to do it for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like because it took so long for the first one to actually finish and them acknowledge that they were going to do it, I feel like people just weren't, I just wasn't expecting it. So it was kind of a surprise to see it there.
Sure. I mean, I'm surprised you didn't assume your way to that. But I've been assuming they're gonna change something. I wasn't sure exactly what. This is just a weird thing to me. I'm not. People have asked like, how can you feel negative about this? And
Mhm.
I mean, I used to be so positive about this game, and I feel like I actually still am. It's just like right now the layer that I'm seeing it through, like I just see it through like this lens of just like, why are you messing up currently, CG? Like, why have you lately been so awful? And
Mhm.
that being said, like this could be friendly. I don't see it making as much of an impact as a lot of people seem to think it will. However,
So this is I've heard people say that, and people are not. Oh, some people are not over the moon by it. I personally don't see it as a bad thing. I think they needed another gear update, and I am just like basically comparing it to the first phase of the gear update that they did, and the pieces that I felt crunched by then, I no longer feel crunched by. Like I never ever ever farm Mark 5 stun guns now.
right,
And like that is a direct result from the changes that they made last year. So the fact that they're doing that to carbs, for example, now, I will hopefully not feel it for carbs either. I don't think it's going to be an instant thing, and that's something that people are going to need to remember. It's not an instant change. It's not an instant feeling. Like it took a while for me to be like, oh, would you look at that? I don't need to worry about this gear piece anymore. I just have them. Um, and I think it'll be a similar thing now. Uh, and like the other thing, like for me, like carbs in particular are really shortchanging me basically right now. Um, but like the gear recipe that a character needs doesn't change. So if they need 50 carbs to go up a gear level, they're still going to need 50 carbs. You're just going to get them faster.
sure,
So I don't think it's totally awful. And I think also like it's aimed towards certain players like that. You can't sugarcoat that. It's not aimed towards everybody. But at the same time, like you can't release something that is or change something that is aimed towards everyone because if it's the same change for everyone, then new players will never catch up. You will never have a catch up mechanic because if whatever you're implementing affects everyone the same, then the gap is always there.
sure, yeah. So I want ketchup mechanics. I want that to happen. I guess I just struggle. I'm like, okay, what's the biggest current? They're saying things like, well, we want them to get to gear 11 faster, and
Mhm.
that we want them to be able to complete this end game stuff. And I just question like, you want us to get to end game faster, but you're only getting people to gear 11. Like how many gear 11s can really like complete this stuff, like inquisitors, for instance. You want us to get to endgame and get a
Mhm.
grand inquisitor unlocked. The biggest bottleneck by a huge margin is Kyrotech, and Kyrotech is not touchable. They've not
Right.
touched it. That's been the bottleneck since they introduced it to the game, and that's not changing. Also, I think one of the more insidious things that might potentially just train wreck us, and I don't know, we don't know anything about GT3 yet,
Right.
really, like what it's gonna buy, what it's gonna do for us. However, think of this: we're not gonna get GT1 if we start doing this new territory battle.
Right.
A lot of people are gonna be pressured to be doing this new territory battle, because if it was like last time, it was like even if you're only getting like 7 stars or something in it, like it's better than Hoth. And so if it's the same way, like newer players are also going to be doing this new territory battle. But how are you getting all of your left side pieces right now for
Hmm.
Gear 12? Like what?
Yeah.
My guess is that a big part of that is from GT1,
Right. I mean,
and we won't be
I
getting that
I
anymore.
would love to know. I would love to know what they're gonna do with that because they didn't address it. Like they just said we're getting GT3 in the new one,
Right.
and they're like, oh yeah, and you'll get two, so you're not locked out of that store. They didn't say anything about get one, which is where my hesitation is on that.
Right.
Um, and then like we're still gonna get, even if they remove it, we will still get it. It's just gonna be at a significantly smaller rate.
Right. We'll
But
still get it from raids.
right. But also makes me wonder like what's the next step then, because like that can't be the end of the road for these changes, and they're obviously not going to implement them all in one shot. Like
Right.
they're phasing it out. And I don't know, I've really taken the approach of looking at things from like it's very easy for us to look at things and see it as they're presented to us because that's the only information we've gotten. So that like the analogy that I've always used, I'm like we're only seeing one tree in front of us and CG has the entire forest, but
Sure.
we only get to see the one tree, so like we don't actually know what's going on.
Well, it'd be nice if they talked about a few other trees, though. You know, I guess
Right.
that's the thing. Like, why let our imaginations run away with us? Like, GT1 is a seriously, it's a big deal for both of my accounts right now. I
Mm-hmm.
need GET1 to maintain the level of progression I have. If they take that away, and then they're like, hey, you could use GET3 to buy like Relic 10 stuff, I'll be like, well, that's cool, but I can't get to Relic 10 because I'm stuck on Gear 12
Right.
because GT1 is just blocking me. Like that, they'll actually slow a lot of people's farming, but like significantly, they'll slow people's progression if we have to do the new territory battle. It's like, well, we have to because we have to get the new stuff. But then, like, how many people are just gonna have Riva at Gear 12? You know,
Right.
like they'll unlock Riva, they'll be like, oh, and now I don't have any GT1, so that's cool. Like, not to mention, I feel like they just keep adding more and more Kyrotech to characters. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing is like so on a video I made a while ago, I was saying like I don't think there's been a single character that's been released that don't require Kyrotech since Kyrotech was released, and that was mostly true. Two characters, IG and Kuil, don't require Kyrotech apparently. But
Right.
otherwise, since they were released, and that's like before Padme, that's is a long time ago. Everyone requires Kyrotech. They're not like, and that is a core. Like you have to put it on like Gear 8. Like that's it's there all the way through progression.
Mm-hmm.
They're not increasing the farm. Like sure, people are like, well, you don't have to spend energy to farm Carbanti anymore, so you're going to
Mm-hmm.
be able to farm Cairo. I already did that anyways. I have ignored on both accounts farming Carbanti on nodes forever. Like I don't ever do that. I haven't done that for
Yeah,
years.
I don't do it either.
Like that's you use other energy for that. That's also that's where you use GT2 as
Right.
well. So to me, it's like Kyrotech is the big bottleneck. They're not changing that. And then Gear 12 is the other big bottleneck, and they're
Mm-hmm.
potentially making that worse for most players.
Well, what if their solution by I don't know. We don't know this. This is like you said, they haven't told us this, so we don't know what's going on. What if
Right.
in the rewards for the new territory battle, Instead, like they take away the get one, but what if you get more gear 12 pieces as for your
Yeah.
rewards?
They want to give us more full pieces, or maybe their solution is to make the Sith raid simmable and
Right.
give us all top 10 prizes every time.
Right.
So because top 10 you actually get a ton of big pieces.
Right.
Like that would be wonderful. I we need something though, cuz like GT1 is the thing that kind of fills in the gaps for me. That's the thing that I'm like, yeah, I just need this little piece, like I need comm links, I need whatever. That's what
Hmm.
I spend GT1 on, and now it's just not going to be a thing. Or maybe it is, and they just like didn't write it down. It can be. I'll acknowledge that I could just be, being overly negative about it. I feel concerned, and it doesn't. It seems like they're like, hey, do, like their horns and like look at us, we're your champions, we'll save you, and
Hmm.
everyone's like, saving us from things we kind of didn't need to be saved from, anyways.
Maybe.
But we'll see about the Carbanti. Like that is a nice change for sure. And like I need for my alt, I need 2100 Carbanti for Jabba.
Hmm.
And now on some effective levels, you could almost just say that I only need like 1,000.
Right. Because it's
You
going to
know,
come in twice as quickly. Um,
in theory.
I don't know. It just seems like such a backwards thing for them to implement the phase one gear changes, implement these ones, and talk about specifically in these gear changes what their goals are, how they want people to speed up. They, like Crumb, even use the exact phrasing of like not touching the relic system or not changing the relic system yet. So it's like these are things that I feel like they have to be thinking about and have a plan for to do next.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that they'd have a plan for making datacrons enjoyable to the majority of people, but most people just crap on datacrons, so then they were like, our ultimate goal is to make this game enjoyable, and then they're like, also set 4, enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Like,
not going to compare Datacrons to gear.
well, you'd think that they'd have a plan for that too. Like, all I'm saying is they have a plan. Probably. I don't know if it's something I'm gonna enjoy. I hope it is. I hope it is. I want to enjoy it. The gear stuff. I listen. I genuinely hope it is very effective, especially for smaller accounts.
Right.
100% hope that. I just feel nervous about the idea of, like, hey, look, like we made it all this stuff way more available, but people are like, well, we can't really play endgame because all our characters are gear 11 or sometimes gear 12. But that's not
Hmm.
enough to really compete with people who have relics, and
Right.
like you get to 13 and it's a totally different ball game for most of these characters. So yeah, I told you you'd get angry at me.
I'm just like, I understand what you're saying. I just think that a lot of the time we project problems and like we can see what the issue is going to be, and we're getting mad about something that hasn't even happened and may not even happen.
Not really mad, I'm concerned though.
Well, I'm using mad loosely then.
Well, I'm mad then.
Like, I don't know. And this is like when they even talked about this gear change and they're like, oh, but it's getting halved at the relic scavenger. I'm like, yeah, but you're getting the gear twice as quickly. So it's
Yeah,
an
I don't
it's
care about that.
but that's my point is like just slow down and digest the information that's actually being presented, make
So,
note of the potential problems that you're seeing, and then see what happens.
well, I mean, part of our job is to see potential problems, and warn people. I also wonder. I don't think they said anything about this. So, what about the top end scavenger results? Like
Mhm.
right now, it's really hard to get the relic 8 piece. What is it?
Yeah,
The
I
silver
don't know. The arrow
thing.
magnifier. Is that what it is?
I think it's the other one. It doesn't matter. It's the craftable piece for Relic 8, though. Or the gear to laptop things for the level 9. They said that Scavenger is going to have half of that. But it's all Gear 12 stuff, which is not going to have faster farmable rates. So I hope
Wait,
the Scavenger doesn't half those.
I don't think they said that.
They just said Scavenger is going to, you know, cost double.
Yeah, of the gear that's being doubled.
I hope so.
Like that's how I read it, was whatever is being affected is what is being changed in the scavenger.
I hope that's the case. That's probably the case. That's probably the right way to see it. I hope so. Um, but yeah, like it. I don't really care. Like as long as they maintain that, I'm good. It's gonna catch a few people off guard. It's gonna be a little nasty surprise when people are like, oh, I should have cashed in all my equipment, all my
Mm-hmm.
gear. So I mean that's one thing I bet you and I can agree on is people should in the very near future just take all their gear and turn it into relic components now, because pretty soon all that gear will give you exactly half of the relic components.
Yeah, depending on the gear. Like I'm not turning in my carbs.
All your gear that you would normally cash in
Right.
for
Right.
relics.
Yeah. I don't want people to just blanket click everything and then cash it in.
Right. Well, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the first three relic materials that are mostly affected. I
Probably the
think
four actually. I think
yeah,
because the hollows are gonna really that's a big one actually.
there's a little bit on four, but it's mostly the first three.
Right, mostly the first four. Agreed.
It's only the first four.
So no, I think yeah. Well, so we'll see how that goes. What did you think of the other road ahead things? Are you excited for Riva?
I guess they didn't really say anything about like how we're gonna get her or anything. I was gonna say what other road ahead things. It was all territory battles and gear changes and anniversary double drops, etc.
And Aphra.
Oh yeah, Aphra. Well, they didn't really say much. I mean, we still don't know when that event is happening.
Right. So when do you think it's gonna happen?
I would not be shocked at all if we get a kit reveal for Sana the day crate drops and the event starts tomorrow on the 24th for her marquee, and then a week later we get Aphra.
Yeah, I think they want I think that they want to make it so that I've been thinking about this lately. Ever since they shifted crystals from Arena to GAC,
Okay.
that they've taken a little bit of the panic out of people for the Arena meta, right? Because it used to be like this cycle of okay, we're gonna release the new hotness, and
Mm-hmm.
then people are going to pay to get it early so that they can get first in Arena.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's not really the case now. Now it's like, well, I'm in GAC, I'm playing the GAC, and most of the people, like, if you don't have Jabba, a lot of times you're also playing people who don't have Jabba.
Right. Yeah, I
You
don't
know,
see any Jawas.
right? Professor X hasn't seen any Jabbas yet either, and that'll change eventually. But for now, like, there's no panic
Mm-hmm.
there, right? Like it's just like, oh well, it's just one team anyways. It's GAC. It's not. If you don't have this meta team, you can't get first, and you can't get your daily crystals.
Right.
Like the emphasis of it has been taken off, and so I would think so they're not getting their panic money as much now,
Right.
and so the idea being, how do they recoup the loss of the panic money? Maybe it's to make the new releases more whale exclusive. Like, they did that for Jabba. They released Boosh, and
Mm-hmm.
then before she was farmable, even in shipments,
Mm-hmm.
they released the Jabba event. And it's like
I mean,
if you want Jabba right now, if you want the new crazy stuff, you have to spend $300 to get the gamble packs for Boosh to get Jabba.
They did the same thing with Starkiller last year.
Mm-hmm.
The event dropped before Mara Jade was farmable. She wasn't even in stores yet. Her event happened a week before the Starkiller event.
Was Mara Jade the last one that they released?
I think so.
Hmm.
Whichever one was the last of those 4 marquees, it was a week before the event.
Yeah, I think that's their new plan.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think when you make those changes to something like this, where you make those, I don't want to say like end game, that's the wrong term, but it's a pretty drastic change where you're changing how like the meta has been viewed and how like where the emphasis is in game, essentially. Like you've moved it from squad arena to grand arena now, or wherever. Um, you have to change what your strategy is.
Sure. Well, yeah. I don't really even fault them for it. Like I think I'm good with it because even though it does impact my main account quite a
Mm-hmm.
bit, I've had to face quite. I bet I've only lost like one match because of Jabba and not having him versus like someone who does. But for the most part, yeah, like I'm good if it hurts my main a little bit, so but the game can continue so people can wail out on these new characters. I think I'm good with it. I just it's something that I was thinking, and it's very consistent with what you were saying. Of you know they'll release Sana, and then the next day or the next week or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Aphra will be released, and people can have her, but only if they've crackened out on Sana.
Mm-hmm. And it'll be theoretically a reward of sorts for those Krakens that the new territory battle rolls around. You can have Aphra right away.
Heck yeah, man. It'll be funny to see some of the really big guilds, how many stars they get compared to like there'll be like this severe drop off. It'll be like these guys got like 27 stars, and then the next guild got like 26 stars, and then the next guild got like 12
Right.
or something. All right, so we have time for the trigger photo, and then let's go over to your channel.
Okay.
Okay, so we're in the game madness. Um, let's see. Let me get the trigger for. Okay, so here it is. By the way, guys, we need more trigger photos. Please go post them on the Discord. It's linked in the video description, and there's a whole channel for Create Expectations. You guys can post your trigger photos. What things have you posted that trigger you or trigger others? So this one was funny though. In GAC 3v3, someone placed Old Ben with Nest and an Omi Wampa.
Obi Wampa at R6.
Yep, Relic 6 Wampa.
Oh man. And
I
it's
thought of
just
yeah.
it's just one of those things because like you want Wampa by himself, obviously, because he's Omicron. But like you
Mm-hmm.
can't even put him on defense by himself. Like the game does not let you set an
Right.
underman squad on defense.
I've thought about this some. Like you could almost just put a couple Gear 1 characters in with
Mm-hmm.
him, and then once they kill him, I don't know how. I need to read it. Like I'm assuming some of his kit just doesn't activate at all if he starts with other characters with him.
Yeah. So you would have to fail though. Like
Someone would have to fail, but then you'd have a really strong defense if you could somehow engineer it so that like I don't know. Could you make it so that you put like Hondo on the team so he runs away and someone else, and then I don't know.
oh man.
Uh,
I, yeah. It's just Relic 6 Wampa, man. There's so much you could do with that.
Yeah, he's like, I could solo a team, Nest could solo a team, but we're here together on defense so we
Mm-hmm.
don't get egregiously high scores against our opponent.
Old Ben does not get to solo a team.
Old Ben's like, I'm a tank. All right, guys, go over to Sarah's channel. There should be a link below somewhere you can click on, or in the video description, there's also a link to her video as well. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you over at her channel.